Dear listener, welcome to the Quarter Hour. Today, someone I had on my hit list to get on the podcast when I started it 6 months ago, and finally he's got something to promote, so he's joining us. Christian O'Connell.
How dare you? What a rude way to introduce somebody. Graham Norton doesn't do that. And on the couch today, this Friday night, are people just plugging stuff?
I feel like you've been all over my feed this week, so I just wanted to, join in the algorithm.
Welcome to the algo.
Thank you. Hey, your book, thank you for writing it. Thank you for writing it, sincerely, because I feel like it's something that I've been aware of and known, but not known how to express it. Someone once said to me, if you're ever thinking about writing a book, don't. You've written 5 now. What was your process in starting to write Unscript?
It was a very different way because this is a book really about connection and authenticity and storytelling. I wrote it in a very, very different way because it was about speaking and conversation. I thought it had to be written a different way than the others, which, there's no other way to write a book. You sit down and you write the damn book. This was actually, I would speak it out loud because I thought, hang on a minute, the way I make sense of my life and stories and how I feel about life and us is like, and the way I've done that for 28 years is out loud. And the book is about getting other people to be able to do that easier. And so I thought, well, I need to somehow get the book like that. And so I would actually go for walks with my dog and I would mumble into my phone and it would record for an hour. I'd just be essentially like a radio show. I'm talking to myself. And then I would then transcribe that. And from that, I would edit from that. And sometimes there'd be minutes where I was saying nothing. People must have thought I was having a breakdown. There's a guy initially talking out loud into his phone. And as they're walking by, goodness knows what they would have heard outweighed. The optics aren't great. But anyway, but it just was so much. I found it really much easier, less to write it and more speak it into being, if that makes sense. It also means I could do it a lot easier because the first draft would come within an hour and I could then edit. I had something which was closer. So I hope that when you read it, it feels more like a conversation than a typical book. It has an energy and a propulsion to it.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a conversation. And that was one of the words I wrote down, actually, is it felt like you were speaking it to me. And I think the advantage that we have in the radio industry is we listen to you, we hear you. So I always think that's interesting when you're reading the written word, you hear your voice in your head, which is all part of it, I think. You sent me the PDF before the book was released to read, and I really appreciate that because I thought, wow, if the PDF's great, the book's going to be amazing. Sorry, that was a lame joke. You never thought you'd get a PDF joke, Christian, but there you go.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, appreciate a good PDF joke.
But I loved it, and I want you just in terms of the book to just explain one concept because I really want people to go and buy and read it. What do you mean when you say invisible scripts that we all carry? What's an invisible script?
Well, I think everyone's aware of them and everyone's aware that we're not fully aware of the other ones. It's just like throughout all of our interactions, and life is a conversation. It's a series of conversation. Our lives literally are a series of conversations, and there's two conversations any human being has. There's the one out loud, and there's the worst one that we have internally to ourselves. And I always think if you wrote down or you said out loud to somebody else the way you think it's okay to speak to yourself, the amount of times during a radio show, I'm like heckling myself, basically going, this is crap. You're going to get caught out. The ratings are going to go down. You're going to be homeless. Your wife will leave you. Your kids will disown you. So there's two conversations we're having, but really the conversations that we have out loud are very much often dictated by these invisible scripts. And until you really become aware of those, and then I think computer programmers talk about this, how you have these old systems that are running in the background sometimes in computers, and they're draining the energy. And so everyone knows how to speak. It's easy. And then there are certain situations where it becomes very difficult. And that might be in social situations when suddenly you feel like you're a spare part and you can't quite get into the conversation tonight. Or it might be at work when someone says any questions and you want to ask a question, but you don't want to look foolish, or you're over rehearsing a speech you need to give, or a team talk. And so it's like, I started 2 years ago. I never knew how much I'd enjoy it. I started my own coaching business. So I started to coach people how to speak with more confidence in any situation. And I thought they would just want tools and techniques, and I've got frameworks, I've got loads of those. But all of them, and I was working with people from CEOs to leaders to a woman who worked at 7-Eleven who wanted the courage to spark up more conversations with strangers and customers. They all they all really wanted out with the same thing. It was really it was more a root cause. It was about self-worth in certain moments and the story they were telling themselves about permission to take up space and actually have a voice. Because for a lot of us, we don't know the sound of our real voice. It's sort of hidden under various layers of storytelling and these hidden scripts. And so I thought, oh, right, the way that I connect on the radio when it's going well is there's no script there. But sometimes as a dad or a husband, when it becomes hard for me, suddenly I'm aware there is some kind of script that's running here. And I just thought that's an easier way to understand the flow process of speaking and storytelling.
It's a great concept, and I think it's really easy to understand. And as you go through the book and you
I hope
tell,
so.
yeah, I absolutely, genuinely think so. And it's one of those things that you read and then stop and reflect. You know, I read it all in a day, but across that day, what I was able to do is just stop, make a cup of tea, think about something you just written, come back and go back. So I think it's a great book to do that with. It's almost like a companion to yourself. It's hearing you encouraging me, which I thought was really valuable. So as I said at the top, thank you for doing that. Very much appreciate it. One of the reviews I read said the book will make you laugh and it will make you cry. So I've picked one of each that I'd give you. The one that made me laugh was the Uber driver story where the guy changed his name. Would you mind just telling us that one?
Yeah, I mean, people often say to me, ever worry that you're going to run out of material? I go, no, because actually my job is just to pay attention. And, that is literally my job. And so as I'm chatting to people or I'm overhearing conversations or someone tells me about a conversation, even sometimes, I mean, I always have done on my radio shows. I read every single email that comes in, even press releases. Press releases are so bombastic and over the top, about there might be a fast food company. And there's just a strange line down the bottom. And I'll go, I use that on tomorrow's show. Um, and so I'm constantly mining everything because there's always, even sometimes I'll read a really quite, even an angry email from a listener sometimes urging me to give up either radio or just leave the country. And those are from Carl Sanderlands mainly. But I sometimes just read down the bottom to see what the job description is. And sometimes I go, that's a job? And so I just say, tomorrow morning, I got an email from someone whose actual job title is this. Have you got a weird or an unusual or nonsensical job title? So
Yep.
when I'm in Ubers, I'm constantly chatting to Uber drivers because they overhear so many conversations and they really see the random and to me, I'm obsessed with that. I do believe, and I say it a lot in the book, and if you've ever heard my radio shows, you'll know this. I'm obsessed with the magic in the mundane.
Yep.
That's where the joy is for me on the radio, and it was when I did stand up as well. I'm not really interested in showbiz gossip or pranks or stunts or anything like that. I really think the everydayness, the weird stuff we do, is just where the magic is for me. So anyway, I'm in an Uber one day, and it lets you know who's coming, and it just said, it literally just said, "You fuck is coming," and I was like, UK, that can't be someone's name. It must be an error. You fuck. So we get in the car, and I think I can't open with, especially because it might be like it might be just from a culture that we don't understand, and I didn't want to get
Of course.
cancelled in the back of an Uber, obviously. You can get cancelled anywhere these days, even an Uber, the back of a Toyota Camry. And so we're chatting, and he's a lovely guy. And then I said, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" He just sort of angles the car rear view mirror. He goes, "My name?" I went, "Yeah." I said, "Is it correct what I'm reading here?" And he goes, "Ufuk." And I go, "Yeah, but it's written here as you fuck."
Mm.
And he starts giggling. He goes, "Yeah, it's actually been quite problematic. I've been learning English," and his English was very, very good. And he said, "But it's starting to damage my relationships with women because they like start laughing at it, and I can't handle that very well. And I can imagine. And then he goes, so I've changed my name. I went, all right, you're changing your name. Cool. And he goes, yeah, I'm changing it to Matthew, you fuck. And I went, wait, but you're keeping who fuck? He goes, oh yes, yeah, that's. But I said, they weren't laughing at the first name. They're laughing at the ooh fuck. And he didn't quite understand what I was trying to say is that nothing's changed because the you fuck. He said, wait, he said is the guy, this 70-year-old guy was teaching him English every week would just have to do a register and say their names, would just start laughing out loud the moment he was reminded that ooh fuck was in the class. And so I always think, I don't know what I do with this the next time on radio. I don't like being crude on the radio. So I thought, how can I do this? And so I just said, I met a guy yesterday and he said his name and it was on Uber, was Ufuk. I said, that, if you slow it down, it's U-F-U-K. And obviously people thought Christian's probably exaggerating to make a funny story here. Over the next 6 months, I'd get emails or calls the next day. He picked me up. I went, oh, fuck. And he goes, if you see, he kept calling me Mr. Christian. I said, that's not, just call me Christian, please. He goes, you must thank you. He's made me the most famous Uber driver in Australia.
Yes.
And so
I want him now.
You should be one of the services. You're like top tier.
Yes.
And so I remember just thinking when I wanted a really vivid story about the magic in real life. There's no better example than ooh fuck. I mean, this is what we do, isn't it? As humans, I've been lucky enough to interview Ricky Gervais so many times, and he said that there's a gap in life between who we pretend to be and who we actually are, and that gap. That's where all the best comedy is. And he's right.
Yeah, he's right. Hey, a quick Ricky Gervais story for you. I've never met him, but I worked at a radio station where he was being interviewed once. And the hosts said, hey, we've got a guy here who looks exactly like Carl Pilkington.
No way.
And they were talking about me. And Ricky goes, what? Has he got a head like a fucking orange? And yes, I do. So that's me. So Ricky Gervais has spoken about me.
Well, Carl Pilkington for 5 years was my old breakfast show producer.
Indeed.
And then years later, I was suddenly interviewing Carl, the millionaire, with several homes, who was a worldwide megastar.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Carl's one of the funniest people I've ever worked with and ever met, both on and off air.
So you don't see the resemblance then? Is that what I'm taking from that?
I don't at all. I don't know what Ricky was on about.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is part 1 of my chat with Christian O'Connell about his new book called Unscript. You can go and get his book now. We talk about it a little bit more in our episode tomorrow. I also ask him about one of the moments that actually made me cry reading the book, when he came on air for the first time in Sydney Breakfast the day after the Bondi Massacre. It's a really interesting story of how Christian and his team prepared and worked out what to do that next day on the show, and how human connection means more than anything. So that's tomorrow. Also, our P1s are in our WhatsApp group. I offered the chance for a few P1s to ask Christian a question. I've got those questions on the episode tomorrow. That'll be in your feed tomorrow morning, a special bonus Sunday morning. See you then. Bye.